Imagine a world where Super Mario is a realistic action game starring Chris Pratt.
It's me, I'm Mario.
Yes, this is the Mario Part 2 video.
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening!
Finally! I've been waiting for this!
So yes, this video did take a while, but there are more Mario origins that I have to cover. There's a ton of old TV shows, comic strips, long-running manga series, each with different versions of our boy Mario. And while I kinda hinted at some of these in the Bowser video, let's get a closer look at what's going on with these renditions of Jumpman. Welcome to Origin Oracle everyone, the segment where I take your favorite video game characters and talk a little bit about their backstories. So without further ado, let's head back in time. So as I mentioned in the last video, a lot of Mario's past is seeped within the world of Donkey Kong before he was given his own adventures in the Mushroom Kingdom. Way before the release of Super Mario Bros. Was a show called Saturday Supercade.
Supercade, gather round, we'll get your video friends together. Yes, Saturday Supercade is time for fun, and no one else can do it better.
Which ran for 2 seasons from 1983 to 1984 on Saturday mornings. It featured several separate segments that included popular video game characters at the time like Frogger, Q*bert, and of course, Donkey Kong. And in this Donkey Kong portion of the show, Mario and Pauline were frequently featured as they attempt to catch the ape after he escaped from the circus. This would actually be the very first animated adaptation of Mario to be released to the world, and I suppose this design could be a lot worse.
What is that?
Mario here is the assumed owner of the circus, which is probably a direct reference to Donkey Kong Circus for the Game & Watch. And I think the coolest part of this show is that Mario is voiced by none other than Peter Cullen, the definitive voice of Optimus Prime, and that cool-ass narrator from Toonami back in the day.
Dragon Ball, weekdays at 5:30. Full power, only Toonami.
I miss my childhood. Okay, let's move on before I make this video about Toonami. It's crazy to think that this cartoon predates the first Super Mario Bros. Game too, so the show is lacking a lot of things that make Mario Mario. But despite this, we would see Mario, Pauline, and Donkey Kong stumbling upon random criminals throughout these segments, causing their plans to be thwarted since they're caught in the middle of Mario's hunt for DK. And Saturday Supercade is another one of those historical TV shows that was never released in a digital format. It seems debatable on who owns the rights to this show at this point in time, since most of the companies that produced the series or owned it in the past are more or less defunct. So the Donkey Kong segments are said to be currently owned by Nintendo of America, but I kind of think it's a fat chance that they would re-release it at this stage of the game.
It'll be a while before he comes back.
The next time we'd see Mario in an animation would be Super Mario Bros. Peach Hime Kyutsudai Saksen.
This motherfucker don't miss.
Or The Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach, which I covered in the origin video for Bowser, so you should definitely check that out if you have a chance. It was a short animated film released exclusively in Japan around 1986 as a tie-in to the Japanese Super Mario Bros. 2. And it would be the first set of media that made a story adaptation of the first Super Mario Bros. Game. It was produced by animation team Grouper Studio, known for these classic anime titles such as The Ping Pong Club and Yosei Dick. I have no idea what these are. They did make a Karopi movie at some point though, and at least I recognize that character. Anyway, Great Mission to Rescue Princess Peach is a pretty rare item to track down these days. So for my VHS fanatics out there,
Good luck.
I find the first scene of this movie to be pretty interesting as they portray Mario as being from another world. He's literally just sitting in his living room playing Nintendo until Peach decides to drag him into her mess and requests his protection from Bowser. Now, if you were a damsel in distress running from this giant Koopa King and could just leap into other worlds like this, would you pick the guy sitting in his room in a rocking chair playing video games to come save you? I mean, he does, but that's beside the point. Anyway, Mario completely simps for Peach and promises to help her before she gets kidnapped by Bowser and dragged back into the Mushroom Kingdom. And plot twist, Peach is engaged.
What?
Uh-oh, Mario, you're being finessed.
Oh no, he's hot!
So we find out that Mario and Luigi work at a grocery store in this movie, so strangely enough, there's no mention of the plumber thing in this particular movie. Mario isn't even that good at his job. He completely ignores this irate customer because he's daydreaming about Peach the whole time. So I also mentioned Peach's fiance. It's actually a dude named Kibidango who has been turned into a dog and gets the Mario Bros to follow him down a pipe into the Mushroom Kingdom, setting the stage for their adventure. And from there, the movie plays out pretty much like a Mario game, with Mario and Luigi outsmarting several of Bowser's minions on their way to rescue Princess Peach. And there are a few details that would also be implemented into the games later on, like Bowser wanting to marry Princess Peach, which we wouldn't truly see mentioned before Paper Mario. Another small detail is Peach is depicted with blonde hair, when most of the time she was shown having brown hair in a lot of these animations. So let's see if they eventually decide to bring back her fiance here. I think that would settle a lot of debates in the Mario community for a while. I have to wonder if some of these elements are also going to be carrying over into the upcoming Mario movie, but I guess we'll see when the time comes. Before I move on from this film, I do have to mention the ridiculous amount of merchandise that was released for it. Aside from the VHS tape itself, there was an art book, a riddle book, a picture book, a vinyl for the song Doki Doki Do It that was on the movie's soundtrack, a vinyl record for the entire soundtrack, and even a tie-in manga for the movie itself. All of these are pretty rare, by the way, so if you're a Mario collector, get to work and show me the goods on Twitter or Discord if you manage to procure any of these.
Toonami gives Super Mario Sunshine for the GameCube a 10 out of 10. Nice work, Mr. Mario.
Alright, let's move on to the next set of cartoons that are probably the most popular for the Western market back in the day.
Dick.
Yes, the Deke cartoons. I think this was the set of Mario cartoons that truly ingrained the idea of the Mario brothers being plumbers from Brooklyn. The first one to be released was the cult classic Super Mario Bros. Super Show, starring former wrestler Lou Albano as Mario and the late Danny Wells as Luigi, portraying the two living their lives in Brooklyn in their Mario Brothers plumbing basement workshop. This is actually the show that would first establish Mario's full name being Mario Mario, which Nintendo would later confirm being his true name back in 2015. The show released in September 1989 and was a hybrid of live action and animation, with the live action segments being used to open the show, followed by a cartoon based on the video games pitting Mario, Luigi, and Peach against King Koopa. These cartoons would be more or less what you'd expect, containing small stories within each episode with zany adventures involving Mario and Luigi after being swallowed down the bath drain to end up in the Mushroom Kingdom. On the other hand, the live-action segments would feature a slice of life with Mario and Luigi, having guest stars and celebrities popping into their workshop for a grand time.
In that case,
The continuity between the live segments and the cartoon segments aren't exactly clear, but I guess you could say the live action parts could serve as a prequel to their adventures in the Mushroom Kingdom, or it could be their lives after they've returned to Brooklyn. People are speculating a lot of inspiration for the upcoming Super Mario Bros. Movie will come from this show, featuring the Mario brothers as plumbers from Brooklyn. Super Mario Bros. Super Show had two fully animated follow-up shows, The Adventures of Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World, both shows based on their respective games. But for these, they completely removed the live action portion from the show and just did small animated stories instead, fitting in 2 segments per episode. But this is the Men Talk channel, I can't just leave it there. I wanted to take a look at the Danish dub of this show. Yeah, they actually produced new live action segments with Mario and Luigi, broadcasting them around the animated segments much like the Super Mario Bros. Super Show. Leonard Johannesson and Jorn Rosenville portrayed Mario and Luigi respectively, and they had a great deal of success in Denmark playing the roles, but unfortunately videos of these segments are more or less lost. Believe me, I tried to hunt this down, and if any of you can find it, leave a comment for me below. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world in Japan, Mario would have a series of animated stories being produced that are collectively known as the Amada anime series, released back in 1989. It's a set of animations that are based on classic Japanese folk tales and fairy tales, with the characters being replaced by the Mario cast as stand-ins. First is Super Mario Momotaro, which famously depicts Mario holding Bowser at gunpoint.
Okay, come about them pockets!
This animation is inspired by the Japanese fairy tale Momotaro, and it opens with Princess Peach and her parents living happily on some floating island in space. Seeing they made her parents 2 Hammer Bros, I have to wonder why they didn't just choose Toads instead. Okay, let's not think too hard about that. Bowser gets word of her beauty and kidnaps her to make her his bride. And with Peach's parents devastated, a shooting star one day lands at their feet, revealing a giant Peach. And yeah, I'm sure you saw this coming, but baby Mario pops out of this thing and is adopted by Peach's parents. So some time passes and the rapidly growing Mario overhears about Peach being in captivity and heads off on this adventure to save her from Bowser's clutches, which leads to your boy being restrained and held at gunpoint. The next animation is Super Mario Isunboshi, based on the Japanese folktale of the same name. Similar to Momotaro, this starts with a shooting star giving a couple a child they wished for, which would again be Mario, though he seems to be only an inch tall in this case. But he grows up with a thirst for adventure. Funny enough, we see parental figures that kind of resemble Mario here, even though we don't see their actual faces. So Mario sets out on this journey to a city beyond the mountains, which leads him to Princess Peach. And they grow fond of each other and spend a lot of time together, with Mario sitting on Peach's shoulder most of the time. Of course, we can't let this end without Bowser swooping in to try and marry Peach. This of course leads to a fight with Tiny Mario and Bowser. Bowser even tries to swallow Mario, but Mario starts stabbing him from the inside out with his sword. This causes Bowser to spit him out because he can't take the agony anymore, but Mario continues to mutilate him and cuts off his horns and eyebrows. Luckily, Bowser manages to escape, leaving Mario and Peach to live happily ever after. But the story doesn't fully end there. Peach uses a wish-granting hammer that Bowser dropped to make a full-sized Mario. Cool. The last animation in this collection is Super Mario Shirayuki Hime, which is basically just a retelling of Snow White. Just imagine the same story, with Peach as Snow White, Queen Koopa as the evil queen, Toads as the 7 dwarves, and Mario as the random prince. Though I guess Nintendo didn't want him to actually kiss Peach to awaken her here, he uses a random potion to wake her up. Sorry Mario, I'm pretty sure you're friend-zoned by now. This animation actually gets pretty crazy though, with Mario storming Queen Koopa's castle and backing her into a corner, forcing her to hold a knife to Peach's throat in desperation. But if that's not enough, Luigi actually saves the day here by hitting Koopa over the head with a hammer and then kicking her in the stomach. But that's not enough for these brothers though, they want blood. So they toss her ass into the magic mirror and everybody laughs their ass off while the queen's bleeding out on the floor.
Oh shit.
Mario would actually go on to have another original film created in Japan in '91, this time by Bandai, Super Mario World Mario and Yoshi's Adventureland, an interactive anime based around Super Mario World. Now, Mario's origins aren't any different in this particular film, but I thought the technology here was interesting enough to mention. So the film was designed to be used with Bandai's Terebiko system. The Terebiko was a console designed around interacting with VHS tapes, released in 1988 in Japan. It was the shape of a phone, which would be connected to the audio output jack of the TV, allowing the player to respond to questions via the telephone. It didn't exactly have the biggest library, and I imagine it was probably expensive to make interactive videos for this thing, but it did have some pretty big names on it like Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, Hello Kitty, and of course Mario himself. In this 28-minute interactive video, Mario and Luigi get a postcard from Princess Peach, encouraging them to join her over on Dinosaur Land. While on the plane, Mario would test out his phone to call the player before landing at the airport. And there they would learn that Bowser has already taken Princess Peach captive, kickstarting the adventure to rescue her. The player would then use the telephone to answer prompts to assist Mario and Luigi in overcoming enemies and traps throughout Dinosaur Land. I love old gaming tech like this, though most of these have a history of failing. But if you're interested in hearing about a similar device from Sega called the Sega Pico, the original stylus console before the Nintendo DS, I made a whole video on that too if you want to check that out. Last but not least, I want to talk about Super Mario-Kun. I had no idea this comic existed until I made the first Mario Origins video, but this is a highly successful manga in Japan that details the adventures of Mario, detailing his adventures from several games like Super Mario World and even Paper Mario. This comic started all the way back in 1990 as a monthly release, with the first volume covering the events of Super Mario World. The art style is definitely a little different, but this is more or less supposed to be the same Mario we see in the video games. A lot of these stories include events that aren't fully covered in the games, but get this, they are still releasing Mario-Kun volumes to this day. Coming up on December 3rd, 2022, they have a set of comics detailing the events of Paper Mario, the Origami King, Bowser's Fury, and Mario Golf Super Rush. So maybe I should do a live reading of some of these on stream sometime. It'd be cool to take a look at all the extra details they throw into these stories that we may not see in game. So there you have it, the origins of Mario. Again. I mean, I've covered so many different Marios at this point, and I know there's a lot more. Like, I'm missing Paper Mario, and more specifically, the Mario from the 1993 Super Mario Bros. Movie. So I know that's the elephant in the room right now. I was gonna cover it in this video, but I think we went through a lot today. Closer to the time where the new Super Mario Bros. Movie comes out, or maybe once it's released, I'll do another video for the Super Mario Bros. Movie so that we can cover that Mario once and for all. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want to see more Mario characters. I plan on doing them, but just let me know if you're enjoying this series, and we'll continue down the Mario rabbit hole. As always, my children, be safe. The Prophet has spoken.